All right, it's time once again for Music Night at the Majestic, brought to you by the Outdoor TV Experts. If you've ever sat on your patio or by your pool, thought, gee, I sure wish I could watch TV out here, not have to worry about whether the TV's getting wet, well, consider your dreams answered. Just visit OutdoorTVExperts.com. And for all the details, for whether residential or commercial, the Outdoor TV Experts has you covered. Mention Music Night, you can save a minimum of $100 on your order. That's tvexperts.com. All right, we are here live with Rob Bonfiglio. Rob, welcome to the show.
Michael, thanks so much for having me. Glad to be here.
No problem. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but to bring folks up to speed, I'm honestly kind of a latecomer to your music. Yeah, Rob. It was back in 2014 with the release of Freeway that I first stumbled on you, actually. And I believe it was Power Papa Hawk had shared a blurb about you. And the first song that I heard was the opening track, Lonely World. And I got to tell you, that track, to me, and I feel this way about a lot of your stuff, but I think if Lonely World had been released like 40 years earlier, my God, that would have been a monster hit.
Thank you.
Thanks. I mean,
I forgot about that one.
It's so, well, I mean, all of your stuff is so melodic.
Thank you.
But, it's melodic. You got a great hook, and the harmonies, are just fantastic. Golden State's another track off that album that I just absolutely love.
Thanks.
Why don't you give the folks some background on you and how you came into being a musician?
So I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a child of the 70s. Growing up with an older sister, 4 years older than me, who brought home singles all the time, 45s. That's kind of how I was introduced to pop music per se. Everything from the Osmonds to Sweet to funk and R&B and everything in between. And Philly's a great town for soul music as well, as we all know. Philly's got a beautiful pedigree of soul artists and songs. And that just was my, that's what I was weaned on, that kind of stuff. I didn't have a terribly musical family other than, music appreciators, not necessarily players. So I didn't really have anyone to look up to in terms of learning an instrument. It was kind of self-realized. So I grew up in Philadelphia. I was in a band in the mid-90s. We were called Wanderlust on RCA Records. We had a song called I Walked, which kind of, I think we got number 23 on Billboard, top something or another, I don't remember. We toured with Collective Soul. We did a lot of stuff, and then we broke up 5 years later. I met and married Carney Wilson from Wilson Phillips, and we moved to Philadelphia together for a year, and then we decided to come here where we are now in California. And I've since become their musical director for the Wilson Phillips Touring Act. I'm in the Brian Wilson Band as well. Talk about, family relations. And I've been a solo artist ever since, as well as a sideman and just a songwriter in general, and a producer as well. So here I am. Oh, and I'm also a jazz player. I'm a jazz player as well. So that's I walk two duplicities of music, jazz and rock.
Well, with that, are you like a traditional jazz guy, or are you a smooth jazz guy?
Wait, what was that with the other one?
Are you a traditional guy or a smooth?
Oh, no, jazz? Smooth. I like my jazz bumpy. Thank you. Jazz. I like bebop. I like post-bop. I like Blue Note records, Impulse records, and everything that's come before and after that. Miles Davis, John Coltrane.
So if you had to pick one Blue Note album, what would be your go-to?
I have a couple of favorite Blue Note records. And I'm going to say, just off the top of my head, there's an album called Soul Station by Hank Mobley. It was done in 1960. And that kind of, to me, encapsulates the sound of Blue Note records. Then there's Blue Train from John Coltrane from 57. I could go on.
You can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that. Joe Henderson, all his output from the 60s, incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned Philly before.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Philly soul stuff. all the Gamble Huff stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would be your go-to from that whole collection?
From Gamble and Huff? Wow.
Yeah. It's
You know,
a
all
tough
the
question,
Harold
I
Melvin
know,
and the
'cause
Blue
I mean,
Notes. I mean, there's so much. There's so much. There really is. You know, you have Gamble and Huff, then you have Tom Bell. You have a number of these guys. And we've been fortunate enough recently when I toured with Brian, we came to Philadelphia, and who else other than Russell Tompkins Jr. joined us. And he was the singer of the Stylistics. If you don't know, he's the one who sang all the beautiful high parts. You make me feel brand new. That's him. And I mean, that's just the sound of his voice. I've heard it since I was before I could talk. I've heard that music. So it was really an amazing experience to be able to share a stage with that guy. But yeah, so anyway, back to Gamble and Huff, you know, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, their entire catalog is just crazy. You know, Teddy Pendergrass, who was also in that band. Anything that came out of Sigma Sound, and that includes, you know, David Bowie's Young Americans. That era of Bowie was very much.
That Luther was on.
Yes, he was. Yes, and I just love all that stuff. It touches me deeply. And of course, Todd Rundgren, who's another Philly blue-eyed soul guy, Hall & Oates, that kind of stuff. That's my jam.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things. It's kind of like, you know, somebody asked me, okay, what's your favorite Stax records?
Yeah, right.
And it's impossible. I can't do it because there's so much stuff, and it changes at any given moment. What
changes
mood I'm in.
Exactly. It conjures up different feelings at different times, and you know, you can't really just choose one thing. That's nearly impossible.
Exactly.
I mean, it's such a treasure trove of great music. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, tell you what, talking about all the stuff you do, we got Taylor here is written in and wants to know, what musician would you like to write, record, or play with that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Oh, wow.
Great question.
Wow, yeah, it's a great question. Well, to mention Todd already, Todd Rundgren is one guy I would love to spend time with. You know, who wouldn't say Paul McCartney? You know, how about Paul McCartney? You know, wishful thinking. Might as well go for it. And in terms of contemporary guys, wow, you know, there's a lot of great players out there, great writers. Just off the top of my head, there's a guy named Kevin Parker who is the leader of a band called Tame Impala. They're from Australia. I've been kind of digging on them lately. There's a cat that's local here who's from Boston who actually lives out here now. His name is Mike Viola, a great writer, singer, songwriter. You know, all those guys. I would love to write with those guys and you know, brainstorm.
Well, of the people you've played with a ton of people, what was the moment, where you're in the studio and you realized, holy cow, I'm here, I'm in this moment?
Well, I had done some recordings with Brian Wilson, and that's pretty surreal, considering, you know, his history of studio mastery and everything he has done. Just to look across and see that man at the piano and know that you're playing music with him at that given time in the studio or live on stage, it's an incredible experience. It's surreal. For some reason, I have a protective shielding around me, and I'm unable to feel maybe it's a good thing to feel all the feelings that I know that are in there in the moment. I'm almost like I shelter. I kind of like, you know, I tune everything down and I kind of tune out a little bit just so I can be in the, you know, do my job. So I don't really get to stand as the outsider and witness what's happening until maybe after the fact, and then it's like, what just happened? You know, there've been moments like that, and it's incredible. I'm very fortunate.
All right, and then as an extension of that, all the different things you've been to, for example, on your website, and I hope, you know, everybody watching goes to robbonfiglio.com to check out your stuff. But you've got some pictures from different benefit shows and stuff that you've done.
Oh yeah.
And you've got everybody from David Crosby to Alan Parsons to Richie Fury. Yes. What's it like when you're doing those things, and, you know, people who are your influences, who you idolize, you're up there playing with?
it's a humbling experience. It's a humbling moment, and I'm so grateful for having had those opportunities. Again, it's the same surreal experience of when I stand back and watch these guys on stage, and then I think about the music that I heard growing up and how it affected me, and then to know that I'm there in the moment with them making music. It's really a wonderful thing, and I'm very grateful for it. It's hard to put into words. This is what I live for.
No, I'm sure. Well, I got to tell you, you mentioned about playing with Brian, and
Yeah.
I was at the Christmas show the last time around, and got to watch you guys. And I mean, just the fun. I mean, you could see everybody playing, just really enjoying the moment.
Yeah. That tour,
Yeah.
I actually was filling in for Matt Jardine, who's Al's son, who sings all the high parts. So I was taking his position in that particular tour, and I was petrified before that tour began, because it's wow. I mean, there's a lot of high singing to do, and I just committed myself to do it, and I think I did it okay, and I'm proud of myself. There you go.
Yeah,
it was a.
Well, I got to tell
tour.
you, the what was great about it, if anybody that has, for those who have been to the Christmas show, it was the Beach Boys Christmas album in its entirety, plus additional Beach Boys songs. And I told my wife as we were leaving, okay, my part of my life is now complete, because I got to see Brian sing "God Only Knows," which to me is one of the absolute finest songs ever written, period, bar none.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's one of the greatest songs ever written. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to be able to play that night after night. It's just incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an honor. It's an honor. It is.
Yeah.
So
tell you what, we've got another question here for you.
Okay.
We've got Nick writing in here. Want to know what's your favorite song to record, or what was your favorite song to record?
Of my own?
He doesn't clarify, so you just roll with it.
Well, I'm going to answer, and it's going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say the song that I'm recording in the moment is my favorite song to record. I just love the process. I've had some high points, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Well, you mentioned Lonely World. That was a lot of fun. That was kind of, it was a piano-based song that I had, there's some guitars in there as well. But I had fun. I had fun creating that song while recording it. So it was kind of one of those songs that you build as you're recording. There's songs you can write completely and be done with it and then record. Then there's songs you build in the studio. And that was a song I built in the studio. And that was a lot of fun. So that's a tough question.
Okay, of the songs that you've done that weren't yours, what would be your the one that you enjoyed the most?
Of songs that were not mine to record?
Yes. Yeah. When you were in Wanderlust, was there any tracks that somebody else in the band wrote that you did where you said, "Wow, this is a great track"? I really or is there better yet, is there a song out there that you heard and you said, "Man, I'd love to record that"?
Well, funny enough, I'm working on a covers album with a friend of mine, where we haven't quite got the material. We're not sure what we're going to do yet. It's just kind of a germ of an idea. So it's going to bring up all those things of, wow, I want to do that song. I want to record that song. I want to do that one. Right now, I'm not sure. I can't think off the top of my head what I would like to do. Wow. I don't know. Sorry.
I'll tell you what, while you're thinking about that, one of the things that we do on the show is, we'll do, random question. Okay.
Sure.
And tonight the question is, it's this very week in 1980, and you've got 2 dimes to put in the jukebox. With the first dime, do you choose? Let me give you 4 songs to choose from.
Okay.
3 Times a Lady from the Commodores.
Okay.
Frankie Valli's Grease, Donna Summer's Last Dance, or Miss You by the Rolling Stones.
Miss You by the Rolling Stones. Yes,
Watch.
I had that single too. We had that single when that came out. That was '79. I think Miss You was on. Was Miss You on Emotional Rescue or?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
I believe it was.
that was a summer of 1980. I remember that very clearly when that album came out and that song. That's the one.
And those 4 songs were
Yes.
the top 4 songs for that week. That
Wow.
was 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had seen Grease as well around that time in the theaters, and I was blown away by the movie. So that song was just, it was everywhere. But I'm gonna have to say Miss You.
All right. With your other dime, would you choose Boogie Oogie Oogie from Sister Sledge, Copacabana from Barry Manilow, Walter Egan's Magnet and Steel, or Andy Gibbs' Everlasting Love?
I'm gonna have to say Magnet and Steel. I love that song.
And why so?
It's such a beautiful song, and I know Stevie and Lindsay from Fleetwood Mac are on that song, singing background.
Yep.
It's just a beautiful pop song. You are a magnet, and I am steel. It's such a hook. I have a soft spot for that kind of stuff. That's the one.
Yeah. Well, see, and again, when I was saying like your stuff, would fit. You could come out of Magnet and Steel and right into one of your songs. It'd be seamless.
Nice.
So
not bad for having grown up on Led Zeppelin.
Well, Zeppelin's blues based, so it all comes together.
I always thought I would just be more hard rock, but it just comes out a little softer.
Well, you talk about different stuff. You mentioned about having the 45 of Miss You. What was the first 45 you ever bought?
First 45 I ever bought or was ever given. I'm gonna go with what was ever given, and that would be. I'm gonna say, wow, that's tough. It might have been Band on the Run in 73. It might have been that. It might have been Ballroom Blitz by The Sweet. It was around that time where I remember having 45s. I'm gonna go with Band on the Run. That was another summer memory, summer of '73 memory. That's got to be it.
Since we're talking 45s,
yeah,
go ahead.
No. With my own money, the first album I ever bought was Kiss Alive.
So that was the question I was about to ask you. Do you remember going into whatever store, with your own the cash that you earned the first, this is my first LP. It was Kiss Alive.
Yes. It was Kiss Alive. It was in Woolworths. I remember it clearly. They had the record section in the back, and I remember seeing albums like Patti Smith's Easter, and like, what is that? Wow, that looks. And the Ramones, like Ramones records. What is this stuff? This is kind of scary, but it made it intriguing. And Kiss Alive, of course, it's the concert shot on the front, and they're in full motion, and that was. That was my thing. That was it. I was sold.
I so miss going into stores, because back then, whether it was Penny's or Woolworth or Corvettes or whatever regional chain that you had in your area, there was a record department, and you could go through and all the albums would be out and all it was just such a great thing, at the very least, whoever you were there with as a kid was looking for their stuff. You're spending your time in the record department,
Yes.
Now you go in and there's a few CDs, but
it's bleak.
No variety to it.
I feel bad for kids growing up today that they don't have that. That was such a magical thing for us. But then again, maybe that was our iPhone. That was our ability to be distracted by something, as something that, that piques our curiosity and our imaginations. And I remember a store in our local mall. It was called Beaky's, and Beaky's was a record store, and in the back they sold instruments, and they sold as well as guitars and stuff were hanging in the back, and they had like stereo equipment everywhere. It was like a one-stop shopping experience for a musician. And that's where I bought one of my very first guitars. But I remember there's black light posters all over the place as well. It was just what an experience. I miss that kind of childhood things.
What I feel bad for kids now, where it's this is Spotify or just streaming. For me, I was a liner note junkie. I loved getting the album and seeing all the liner notes, and for me, it was okay. Well, this guy played guitar on this. I like that. Then I'd see that he played on something else, and then that would springboard me into other albums, artists that I may not have been aware of otherwise. And it's just like when you download a song, you don't get all of that.
Yes. Same with producers. You see names of producers on the back, and I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but you would start seeing them on different records, and then, oh, okay. I remember the very first Cheap Trick record, which came out in '77. That's still today, one of my favorite debut rock and roll records of all time. And that's, Jack Douglas produced that. And then, I saw his name on an Aerosmith record, and then I saw his name on Double Fantasy, and like, who is this? What is that all about?
Exactly.
So that was our internet.
Right. And you would go through it and it would be always connecting the dots, through it. And like I say, if you did that, say you found so much music that you wouldn't have otherwise. And it was like that thrill of, I know this name, I'll try this, and you listen to it. It's like, wow, this is
yes. And as a Kiss fan, it was, you just want to see more of the band. I want to see more. Where can I see these guys? There was nowhere to see them other than in pictures. You go to your local 7-Eleven and look in the Circus magazine or whatever, Cream, and you see these pictures, and there they are without their makeup. He's hiding as Gene. It was thrilling. It was an exciting time.
Yeah. Talk about Kiss. I had an interview with Conway Twitty. Okay. And in the interview, he's talking about, people ask him, does he ever get tired of fans coming up to him, interrupting his dinner or whatever at a restaurant? And he says, absolutely not. He says, because if it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't be able to eat in that restaurant. He says, so my food gets cold once in a while. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he says, but I'll tell you who's got it made. Those guys in Kiss got it made. He says, they can go out, they can eat, they can go to a movie, they can go shopping. They don't get bothered by anybody. So there's this very bizarre moment where, Conway Twitty, showing his envy for Gene Simmons.
Well, that's a sign of a humble man and a grateful man. So that's
he absolutely was. That's good. So that's now beautiful. You've got a 45.
I do,
with Jim. Yeah, why don't you tell us about that?
Wait, which one? I have actually two 45s.
Tell us about both.
Okay, I'll tell you about. Well, I'll show you one of them. Hold on. Oh, let me get my earplugs in. Sorry. All right. So this is a record. It's called Hands Together. I wrote and recorded this whole debacle of a pandemic thing happening. And I decided I'm going to release it on a 45. I've never done that before. So I did that, and I did a limited release. They're actually all gone now, except for this one here. I'm considering doing another pressing of it. So that was kind of a fun thing to do. And then I did another song with my buddy Jim Laspiza, who's also in the Brian Wilson band. We covered an XTC song called Dear Madam Barnum. And I don't have it in front of me here, but so I got two 45s floating around during this time. So that's kind of fun. And not to mention my
Facebook page, Music Night Today.
Yeah.
The Hands Together was today's song of the day.
Thank you. Yes, I saw that. That's
on the
great.
Music Night page. So
that's so cool.
Yes, anybody who tuned to it, they know exactly what you're talking about.
Excellent. And I also have this on vinyl. This is my latest record on vinyl. I'm excited. I like vinyl. This has a gatefold, and it's all very cool and exciting. Woohoo! Anyway,
and, on that album, Passenger Seat is a roll the windows down, crank the stereo, hit the road kind of track. as you would think that it would be given that name. So,
yeah, that was what I aimed for. I'm glad that it comes across that way.
Now, when you sit down to write your stuff, yeah, what's your usual inspiration? Do you draw on real life experiences? Is it more of like a creative writing experiment? Is it music based on whatever mood you're in, or how do you go about it? Everybody has a different way.
Yeah, everybody has a different method for finding that zone. For me, it comes and it goes. I have moments of a lot of inspiration, whether it be from music or books or whatever it might be, that just inspires me to want to purge music and to purge creativity. And other times I go through dry spells, and when I'm in those dry spells, I'm miserable because I feel guilty for not writing. I feel like the gift that I've been given is not being used, and it's a constant tug of war between creating and not creating. I think everybody needs to have a break from being creative to replenish. But when I do sit down to write, and I'm lucky enough to have inspiration, it could come from either a riff, a guitar riff, something will lead to the next thing, will lead to the next thing. It could be bits and pieces. Things are created. There have been songs that have been gifted to me, like complete and done, and boom, they've been kind of tossed in my lap, and they've always existed, and I just found them. Then there have been songs that have been brought together from pieces throughout a number of years that I've been writing, just little bits and pieces that all of a sudden came together as one. And then there have been other times where I sat down with a specific idea in mind and wrote that way. So I've been fortunate enough to have experienced those three kinds of songwriting modes. And I think the best and the most exciting types of songs written are the ones that are discovered, that you feel have always existed, and you've just kind of pulled it out of the ether. And I strive for that. And the only way that I found that works to sit down and actually create is to just be present in the moment and to offer yourself. It sounds, it's very Zen-like, but it's like to be there. Just be present and sit down and put yourself where you're, in your workstation, and try to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, you walk away, come back. It's not a hard and fast rule for me in terms of how to do those kinds of things, how to write. I take it whenever I can get it. Long story short.
Well, is there a song that comes to mind of yours where it just it just happened to where it's like you sit down, the next thing you know, boom, you got a song?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, the flip side of my single is a song I did on my first solo record called "How to Mend a Heart." Not the Bee Gees song. This is a song completely my own called "How to Mend a Heart," and that came out kind of in one big purge on the piano, and I felt that was given to me somehow by some ether, some God, some spirit, something or another. That was one of them, and there are others, and I'm blanking on them right now, but yeah.
Well, there's quite a few of them because you've got the 4 solo albums.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, for anybody watching, all 4 are available at Rob's website, which we posted on the Facebook page, and you can also find it at the Starliner Media page, the home of Music Night at the Majestic. I've got them all. I got to tell you, they're all excellent, and it's I've got the playlist of your stuff, and it's I'm always changing it. I got a couple of songs that are always at the top. The 2 from Freeway that you mentioned earlier,
nice.
Those are always right through the top. But it's all so melodic, and the harmonies. How did you learn to create the harmonies? Because you say throughout all your stuff, that's one of the focal points of your music.
Well, thanks for the kind words. I think that for me, harmony is just innate. It's either always been there, or I never specifically learned it. I went to music school, so what that did basically is just kind of put names to things that I knew, But now I can actually, it's like math. You know, if you have an intuition for how to do math, you know, formulas and things will kind of put names to what you kind of intuit. But harmony has just always been there. I can hear it. I can hear what moves me. You know, I listened to a lot of when I was young, in addition to all the pop and rock, I listened to a lot of classical music, and I think that may have informed some of my harmonic sensibility. I'm not sure. You know, it's kind of innate. I'm grateful that it's there.
Yeah, whatever it is, you got it. Yeah.
Thanks.
But I'll tell you what, we've actually already reached the end of our 30 minutes.
Wow,
here.
that was fast.
Yeah, the show. Unfortunately, I didn't get to half the questions I had for you. But
I'm sorry.
You know, hopefully you'll be able to come back another time. And
anytime, Michael. It was a pleasure. It's a real pleasure.
All right. So tell you what, as we wrap it up again, Rob, tell everybody where they can find your music. You
can find all my CDs and vinyl at www.robbonfiglio.com. That's ROBBONFIGLIO.com.
All right. Well, tell you what, everybody, thank you for watching. As the video will stay up on our YouTube channel and our
Excellent.
Facebook page, as well as the Starliner page. So, you know, if you enjoyed what you saw, tell your friends to go catch it, and definitely go to Rob's website and give his stuff a listen. Rob, I thank you very much for taking the time to be on the show.
Michael, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.